Hey guys, it's the Twix 101.5 back again with another podcast. Today we have Seth joining us.
Hey everyone, I am happy to be here, and let me just say that the Underground Railroad is very interesting.
Yes, that is what we will be talking about today, and also Harriet Tubman and how she escaped slavery, and also saved many other people during it, and comparing that to Frederick Douglass and his story about slavery.
The Underground Railroad is a system of people that would help slaves to escape from their slave owners.
Some of the slaves did not make it, but they tried. Over 100,000 slaves made it safely to freedom.
This idea gave many other slaves to try to escape, which led to the downfall of slavery, but it took a long time for this to happen.
Another former slave named Frederick Douglass, who was a slave since birth, his mom was also a slave, but he only got to see her 2 or 3 times. There was a rumor that the slave owner was his father, but it was never confirmed.
Frederick Douglass was born in 1818. His master died when he was just a little kid, and he was put into a new family where he would read and write, but later got in trouble for it because it was frowned upon.
When he was young, he used to have to wake up or even see his fellow slaves getting beaten and whipped, which would cause trauma to most kids. Because of this, it was not a safe environment to grow up in. When they got older, it was even worse. They were the ones getting whipped and beaten. This is why protests began to spread about slaves.
Very true, because back then you were allowed to act like this. It was kind of normal back then. Slaves were in high demand. A lot of people had them. But more on Frederick Douglass. He later escaped slavery and became a writer, speaker, and supporter of slave freedom. When he was about 15 years old, he was sent back to his old plantation to work for a cruel man.
And one time, when Frederick Douglass was getting beat, he fought back and won. After that, he was basically never beat again.
A while later, he was sent to another slave camp where he tried to escape and was then sent back to work on a dock in Biltmore, where he met a lady that convinced him to try to escape again.
After months of planning, he finally got to New York. And then later, the lady, which was named Anna Murray, came to New York, and they later got married.
After 20 long years, Frederick was finally a free man. Soon he became a preacher and started to speak at anti-slave meetings. In 1885, he published his first autobiography.
And that autobiography was called Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, American Slave. It started to become widely popular in the US as well as Europe. He would end up selling thousands of copies, but at the same time he'd be scared that the fame from the book would get him recaptured from his former slave owner.
Because of that, he traveled to Great Britain just in case he would get caught. While he was there, he was a popular speaker. People would come from all around just to hear him speak.
People even raised enough money to legally buy him from his previous owner. With that, he returned to the U.S. in 1847, where he continued his fight for freedom and equality. He also started working for women's rights and for segregation in schools.
He also started helping get slaves to freedom by working in the Underground Railroad.
At the end of this, he was one of the most famous black men in America, and even served as an advisor to Abraham Lincoln, calling for equal treatment for the soldiers in the Union Army. When he worked for Lincoln, he helped give all black slaves freedom. Then, before he died, he was able to see some new laws that he helped contribute to happening. The first were everyone born in the United States was an American citizen. The other one was where it gave black men and former slaves the right to vote.
But more on the Underground Railroad. At most, 1,000 people a year, if successful, would get across the Underground Railroad. If they would get caught, they would get in serious trouble, like getting ears cut off, Achilles tendons slashed, were common punishments if caught.
Yeah, Frederick Douglass has failed 2 times, but he didn't let that stop him. But one reason Frederick Douglass has a even higher chances because he knows how to read and write, which would most likely mean he would be a free man.
One time when Frederick Douglass was on a train, he almost got caught by the conductor because he was using a fake ID on the picture and it looked nothing like him. But somehow he passed and made it to New York. Dab dab, moto moto.